Hi everyone, welcome to this live session with Dr. Rahul Kumar Shukla, the XAT Convenor for this year 2024. I am Akshat Gupta, a first year student at XLRI Jamshedpur from Human Resource Management, and today we will discuss about the upcoming exam XAT, which is just in 1 month. So sir, let's start with that because after a not so good performance in CAT, I got a response from many students that this year's CAT was a bit more difficult than the previous years. They are really banking a lot on XAT. And since XAT is in just 1 month, so how do you think, is it possible to prepare for XAT in 1 month?
Okay, so you asked me two things. First, you have asked that whether people should prepare for XAT or not because CAT was difficult and they are banking on XAT this year. I don't know about CAT because I'm not a part of who conducts that, a CAT, but I have heard about CAT in different forums. People are saying it's difficult. We don't know because there is no official statement from their office. And definitely, when paper is created, there is always some philosophy, some agenda. So once we get to know, we will also get to know whether it's difficult or not. As far as that is concerned, we are doing it in January. Still, we have around a month left, and I am sure if you are smart enough and you have done some preparation so far, this 1 month will actually make you or help you in mastering your skills to crack that and get into to either XLRI or other important B schools we are actually currently associated with.
Yes, I agree with that because I myself cracked XAT last year and I started my preparation right after CAT. When I knew that my CAT did not go that well, I thought, okay, let's focus on XAT because this is the exam, this is the college which was in my dream list. I wanted to get into this, and this was like the sole option which I had
I
last
completely
year.
agree. Yes.
And I focused totally on XAT for this 1 month after CAT, and the main difference that is there between CAT and XAT is the decision making section. Apart from the other two, that is, we have GK and SA, the major criteria is the decision making section. So, sir, what do you have to say about that? Why is this a section in XAT?
Okay. So you are at XLRI with us, right? You are our student. You know how important it is for a manager to be good at decision making. It doesn't matter whether you are a business student or business management student or you are a human resource management student, right? This is something which we always look forward to those who actually operate in a business world, right? So the idea is when a student is coming to a B school, he should have some understanding of deciding on issues which are either they face in their regular lives in the form of taking a decision of getting into a good B school, or if they want to, for instance, decide on which program they want to choose. If they have those basic skills already, we help them prune those skills and do better. And after they go out of XLRI, they do wonders for the companies they join. So that is the agenda. And obviously, it is different from other exams because this particular section differentiates us. But that doesn't mean that you cannot prepare for it within a month, right? If you go through our previous year's question papers, I'm sure you will realize that this section actually is very simple. You don't have to cram, for instance, vocabulary, words, or phrases to crack this section. You only require thinking skills, right? Especially critical thinking skills. If you can actually audit your assumptions, you can challenge your assumptions, or if you can question your mental models. If you have that ability, you can actually revisit your mental models, you can challenge your assumptions, you know what is correct in those questions, right? So if a business student already has that skill, or if he can or she can actually reflect on his or her business models, or sorry, mental models, then they are making our work easy in our classes, right? So that is one of the agendas. At the same time, we wanted to differentiate ourselves from other exams, right? Everybody's just testing verbal aptitude, quantitative aptitude. So we thought, let's also add a new section, which is very important. So we got into what is called decision making, and it is helping us. And I'm sure in your classes also, you would have come across students who are so good in decision making skills, right? And that actually contributes to the kind of discussions we want to generate in our classes, right? So the discussions get enriched, new perspectives get kicked in, and we all learn from those discussions.
And so I think one more aspect that differentiates XLRI from other B schools is XLRI's focus on ethics. And that is one parameter which I believe is very much tested in the decision making, how ethical you are in your decision making.
So I would say that yes, that is there, but don't follow it as a formula. That is also a caution, right? Obviously, any decision anybody is taking, right? We get guided by a very important parameter called ethics. At the same time, in some decisions, there is no place for ethics. It's like independent of ethics. In those scenarios, if you just go with this kind of a mental model that I have to apply ethics, you may fall flat because then you would not understand how to handle that. The idea is if you can challenge your assumptions and can understand if any other assumption can be used, why will you bring in that assumption? And if you're logical enough, you will be able to crack any of the decision making questions.
So, sir, according to you, what are the best resources to prepare for that? The decision making section specifically.
So I guess you have already cracked XAT, right? You are already studying with us. You are our current student.
Yes, sir.
If you comment on it, that would be great.
Yes, sir. So I would like to quote that I gave XAT once more before last year, and at that time I did not refer to any resources as such. I just went with a blank slate, and I just went and answered the questions which I thought were right. So that kind of backfired because with time I understood that the previous year questions that are there of decision making of XAT, they test some particular, the way you think, your mental model, and that is how I prepared myself for the next paper. I practiced the previous year questions, and I also was a part of iQuanta last year.
Okay.
So I also use their source materials. They have this very good set of decision making questions.
Okay. So, okay, fair enough. So I would suggest that definitely if you are joining any of the programs, right, that's good because they also provide good resources as you were talking about iQuanta. I would request that please visit our website and we have uploaded our previous year question papers, right? So those question papers are also equally important along with resources you are consulting. That's important, right? Because they will give you a direction. But again, I will request to you all that when you are going through our question papers, especially the question papers of decision making section, and you are also using our keys, be watchful because there is nothing like repetition of same questions in our exam, right? And every decision is unique. So you have to learn how to solve problems based on the given resources and who is a decision maker and how many stakeholders are involved, right? Don't try to copy one framework which you have learned in one particular section or one particular scenario in another scenario. You will have to create frameworks, right? Learn this art of creating frameworks. It's like I want to choose between a pen and a pencil, and I also have to choose between a friend and an enemy, right? Who will I go with right now? They are two very different things, right? So choosing between a pen and a pencil is like there are two things. You may use different types of parameters, but when I have to choose between a friend and a foe, maybe I will have to understand lots of other things beyond what I am using between a pen and a pencil, right? So this is just a very a lowly example, but still I'm trying to help you understand that what you use in one scenario is not exactly applicable in another scenario. You will have to understand what is applicable based on resources available. So when I'm saying resources, you have to read your stem, the main stem of your decision very seriously, right? Because that stem guides you, and then there are some sub steps with every question. Try to connect that main stem with this small little stem given with the question, and then try to solve a question based on whatever is given. Sometimes there is a perfect solution, sometimes there is an optimal solution, and sometimes there is a suboptimal solution. Depending upon resources available, stakeholders available, the kind of problem you are handling, you have to decide which will be the best decision in those particular scenarios or with those particular decision makers or stakeholders. Sometimes there can be a scenario where two decision makers are involved. So in that case, you will have to take both the people in account. Right? That's how it is handled. Right. So it appears complicated, but it's not complicated. If you are clear and you can think and you can actually create a structure of how to arrive at a decision, you can actually do that.
Right. And so from the last 3 years, CAT has reduced the time. It used to be of 3 hours. Now it is reduced to 2 hours.
Correct.
And XAT has increased to 3.5 hours from last year.
Hmm.
So, sir, how should a student prepare himself or herself to sit for those extra 1.5 hours in a XAT paper?
See, number one, when you are coming to a B school, you are here, right? You know the kind of life people live. You finish your classes at 4:30. You finish your classes at 6. You have a small little window of, for instance, evening snacks and a walk, and then you again sit for your assignments. You have late evening discussions, and then there's a preparation for a next class, right? So you are very busy. I'm sure you are
Right.
going through it, right? And again at 8:30, if you come late or you come to a class after 8:30, a professor will give you absence, right?
Exactly.
So all those things happen here. So I guess if you are already planning to come to a B school, you have already prepared yourself that you will have to give time to ACATs, right? Or academics. Now, if you have that kind of mindset, this time thing doesn't matter, right? Any exam you're taking, mostly the exams are of 3 hours, right? Mostly. We are adding those 30 minutes, additional 30 minutes, because we are trying to evaluate a few more things for you if you want to come to XLRI campus, right? When I say XLRI, I mean Jamshedpur and also Delhi campus, both the campuses. Now, I don't know about CAT, whether they have reduced. I have heard that they have reduced, right? I have never tried to check that because I'm not into CAT, but for that I can tell you why we give you 3 hours for the two important sections, right? First section, I guess, is very important. So, first is that we want you to think while you're solving your problems, right? When I say we want you to think, the idea is we are not testing your speed, and our questions mostly are application based. So, if you can understand what is getting asked, if you can understand the objective of a question, you can solve the question. But for that, you require time.
Right.
So that is the reason that we give you enough time to actually think about every question.
Right.
At the same time, we also allow you to switch from one section to another section. Right. So for instance, I know that I can actually, if you follow the mental model given by Daniel Pink, if you believe that you are good at analytical skills, right? So you may end up taking the first section as decision making section, right? Let me use my analytical skills because in the morning hours your analytical skills are on higher side, right? Now you pick that section. Now you finish that section, then you move to quant, and then finally move to verbal, right? That gives so you are deciding on what you want to do.
Exactly.
Here you are using here also you're using your decision making skills.
I think in that you are the sailor of your ship.
Correct.
You have the authority, you have the power in your hands.
Right.
Where you want to utilize, which section you want, which strength of yours you want to leverage.
Correct.
For example, my strength was VALR, so I focused on VALR. I made sure that I was marking the right questions, taking the optimum amount of time. So what happened in CAT was there's a constant pressure of the time, the 40-minute section, that the section will end. But in that kind of helped me. Those 3 hours which I knew that those are to me. I can use them how I want.
Correct. I completely agree with you. And then we have the part C where we have GK and the essay writing.
Yes, sir. So
Right.
students would also like to know what exactly does that XLRI want to know by testing a student's GK and the essay,
Yeah.
and how does it count in the evaluative process?
So this year, for the first time, we have come out with XAT 2024 overview. In that, I have very clearly stated that we are going to use the scores of general knowledge section and essay writing section towards the end. So once the interviews are over, we get a score, and then we add the scores of general knowledge and essay writing to create a merit for XLRI Jamshedpur and XLRI Delhi campuses, right? We don't actually give the scores of these two sections to any of our associate schools. We use the scores of these two sections only for XLRI Delhi and XLRI Jamshedpur, right? Definitely percentile is based on just the first part, right? So first part where we test where we quantitative skills or aptitude, or we try to understand or evaluate your decision making skills or the verbal skills. Those are used for creating percentile and shortlisting candidates. But when we are making a final list for people who are about to come to XLRI, we add these scores of general knowledge and essay writing to get the best of the lot. Now, you are asking why do we ask general knowledge, right? I guess we all have to understand, or you also know, it's very important for all of us to be aware of what is happening around you, Tomorrow when you will go and join, the business world, the corporate world, you cannot work in isolation, right? You will have to get connected with what is happening around you. What happens, for instance, in the West impacts now what is happening in the East, right? If something happens, for instance, in China or the United States of America, that also impacts us, right? So if you are aware of those affairs, current affairs, definitely you can plan how you are going to operate.
Yes, sir.
And good thing is this year again we have very clearly stated that in our general knowledge section there will be 25 questions. 15 questions will be from current affairs and 10 questions will be from static general knowledge. Right?
And so, apart from business scenarios, I also think that even in our classes, when we have subjects like, for example, I just came from a macroeconomics class. So, sir used an example of how these wars that are occurring are affecting the economy of the world
Correct.
from a macroeconomic perspective.
Fair enough.
So, GK also helps in the classes. When you come
I agree.
to an MBA class, you need to have an understanding of what is happening in the world because
Fair
examples often come up in
So
classes.
you are looking at it at a micro level, but tomorrow when you will go and join any company, you will have to use this knowledge in creating decisions which can help your company grow, right?
Right.
So the objective of teaching economics in the class is the same, right? So that you can understand what is the macro environment, right? What are your internal drivers? How can you actually align your internal drivers with the macroeconomic factors and can help your company grow, right? That's the agenda. So I guess definitely this general awareness helps. It's not only about about economics. Anything or everything happening around us is important for us. And obviously, if you are an HR person, you definitely know this. If I have to choose between two people, I will, and they are equally skilled, I will prefer the one who knows not only his or her work, but also how the things are happening around him or her, right? That general awareness actually creates that X factor.
Right.
So that is also the important reason for actually evaluating students on general knowledge.
So, and I think I really appreciate this part about XLRI that it has so many sections. It creates a more fair ground for people from various sections.
Correct.
For example, a student coming from a commerce background or an arts background has an equal chance of acing the paper when compared to some other exams which focus more on quant.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
So, sir, as a convener, I want to ask: do you extend any assistance to students coming from the underprivileged sector?
So there are students here on the campus who are underprivileged, right? The entire nation is currently working towards, towards bringing the underprivileged students, families in the mainstream. So we are also committed to that vision, right? We also want to contribute to the nation building. At the same time, we are also a merit-based school, so we try to strike a balance.
Sir, XLRI is mainly known for its human resource management program. Right when it was established, so this year is 75th anniversary of XLRI. We are celebrating the Diamond Jubilee. And sir, first of all, I would like to congratulate XLRI for this huge achievement. And XLRI is known for two programs, human resources and business management. But human resources is viewed from a perspective that it is, if you choose HR, you will become an HR. You won't have any other option when you come to a B school. So, sir, what do you have to say about that?
This is a very discussed question in all the forums, right? First thing I would like to clarify. When we choose people for our human resource management program, we are very clear on who should come into our program, right? There are lots of students on campus currently, and there were students who passed out from XLRI. They appeared for both the programs, BM and HRM. They could make it to our business management program, but they could not make it to our human resource management program, right? And there are students who could make it to human resource management program, but they could not make it to business management program. The idea is very simple. The kind of competencies we use for actually evaluating our students, we are very clear on those competencies. Right? We know which student fits in which kind of a program. At the same time, we also know that there are students who actually want to get into a B school, so out of desperation they apply for both the programs. So we also know how to actually go for those who are really interested in human resource management program. Now those who are actually interested in human resource program, they join us, they do wonders, right? You go to any company,
Yeah.
and you will find a student from XLRI Jamshedpur, right? And we are very proud of that also. Like, out of joke, sometimes people say that you drop a stone in any company, at least one stone will fall on, our student, right? So that's a joke, but that's true also, right? In every company we have our students. We are proud of our alums. So I would say that if you are choosing human resource management program, you should stay loyal to your program, right? If you are thinking that it's a proxy for other programs, I would say it's not a good idea. Then you should actually choose a program which fits your bill, right? What you are good at. If you are in human resource program management program, obviously you have lots of things to be done in future, right? Normally, human resources confused with only managing people, right?
Right.
But now if you get into what human resource managers do, right? Lots of our students are CHROs in companies, right? Even if you have been promoted to the position. Correct, correct. So we have not only lots of students, right? They are doing wonders. So when we bring them to our campus, we just don't teach them human resource management. Definitely that's a mainstream thing. Human resource is very important to them. They also learn about other functions. But human resource management is in the core,
Right.
right? So when they go and join companies, they are very good at human resource management. At the same time, they can also handle other functions. So obviously, if there is a responsibility related to what their core skill is or their core competencies, they do that also exceptionally well,
Right.
right? So I would say that definitely, if you join human resource management program of XLRI, you will never regret it. I'm sure you also don't regret it, right?
Definitely, sir. I mean, before coming to XLRI, I had this perception that okay, I want to go for BM, and marketing is my calling. But then I realized that no, that is not really true. Whatever you think before coming to a B school is totally different. What you actually learn at a B school and how your mind develops and your leaning, how it develops to a particular program. I really love human resource management. What I learned, it is really focused on the humans, the connection, and it is truly I feel uh, it is something which can only be experienced in a classroom,
Correct, correct.
apart from other
And
programs
you look
which
at our rich history of human resource management program, right? Earlier it was called PMIR,
right.
right? So if you look at that history and you go through the background of your alums, right, your seniors, people who are working in different companies, the kind of positions they are holding and the kind of wonders they are bringing in their companies because of their skills and competencies.
Right.
So definitely it's the best choice, and I'm sure because you have just come out of our placement processes, right? Human resource students, they never face any problem, right?
Exactly.
They are the hot cakes, right?
Right.
Companies come, pick them like anything.
Right.
Obviously, our BM program is also equally good,
Hmm.
but human resource program is known all over the country.
Right.
It's one of the best programs in Asia Pacific region.
Right. And also, if you become a human resource student, you are not restricted to just human resources. You will get opportunities to apply for Prodman companies, Genman companies, and various other specializations. You are not restricted to human resources itself. And and sir, uh, so what about the MBA? Like if someone is interested in marketing domain and he comes at Excel, he goes to BM program. How is the future like in BM? How is the scenario? Like currently, we have seen that there's a recession, inflation, and a lot of B schools are suffering. How was our placement scenario like this year?
So I guess there is information already available if you go to our website, and also we published information in different newspapers about our placements, right? When we all are struggling currently across the world because some economies are not doing so very well, and even in our country, though we are going really well, right? Lots of these schools are currently struggling. We keep hearing about them through different sources. XLRI could manage to finish its placement so very well, right?
Exactly.
Right. So obviously there were initially hiccups, right? But we could manage, and we managed really well. We didn't compromise on where we wanted to place our students, right? and all the students are happy. So definitely, our business management program is very good program. And when you're talking about a particular function called marketing, I don't know if many of us know this. XLRI is also known for marketing, right? As we are known for human resource management, right? Lots of companies come here for marketing roles, and the left, right, and center they offer roles to our students. So if you go to our website, you can actually get the list of those companies which come here, and good number of students go into S&M, which they abbreviate, right? Sales and marketing. They get sales and marketing roles. So obviously, if you join as a marketing student or you prefer marketing as your career, you will have a bright future from XLRI. But it's not just marketing. We can do wonders in consulting, you can do wonders in finance roles, you can do wonders in ops roles or operations roles. So there is always a bright future, right? And one of the oldest B schools, because we are one of the oldest B schools, right? We have a credibility in the market. The kind of alums we have created and our students, our brand ambassadors, they have already worked for so many years in the industry that almost everybody in the industry knows what kind of students they get when they come to a place like XLRI. And in your summers, they definitely trust our XAT, right? Xavier Aptitude Test, because they know that it's very robust exam, and the kind of skills we test through that exam, they know this, and that is why in summers we don't face any problems.
Right. So, students would also like to know how does XLRI select students? How much does work experience matter? Freshers versus work experience students.
So we want both types of students here on campus, right? Obviously, those who are with WorkX, they bring experience to the class. They add a fresh perspective, which is very different from normally how we teach, because we are professors. We handle things from a theoretical perspective mostly, because we want to stick to the ideal. These managers, when they become our students, like even if not managers, even if they have actually they took technical roles, and after that they joined XLRI. So if they have that kind of a background, they try to also add a new perspective. So WorkX people add value to classes. At the same time, those who are freshers, because they have no previous understanding of the business world, right? And they directly come, for instance, from the classrooms. They also try to answer to the questions which we raise from their creative perspective, right? So both WorkX people, freshers, they contribute to the classes, right? Freshers bring creative perspective. The people who are with WorkX, they bring the perspective of the kind of work they have done in the past, and that makes the discussion more enriching. So obviously we require both types of students in classes, and companies also look forward to both types of students when they come for placements.
Exactly.
Right? So they choose both freshers as well as people with WorkX.
Right. And so I would also like to reiterate this, that in XLRI, a classroom is filled with diverse students. We have almost an equal ratio of males to females, and age is not a barrier over here. If you think that you are of a certain age, which is probably too much to come to an MBA B school, do a 2-year MBA program, then you're wrong. We have students in my class itself. I have two 29-year-olds, one 30-year-old. So age is also not a barrier if you are planning to come to XLRI.
Right. See, if you are a person with right skills, right, you have done enough, and you can bring a fresh perspective to a class, you're always welcome to join us.
Right.
Anything else?
So I think we can now focus on some questions from the students.
Okay.
So one question is, which topics should we focus for logical reasoning?
Okay. I guess we have a logical reasoning in our verbal section, right? So I would say topics will not help. Like, I will not give you any topic. What I would suggest is that whatever agency you are using for learning about logical reasoning, especially XAT related logical reasoning, use their resources and also refer to our old question papers. I guess that is the best place to understand what kind of logical reasoning is about to come, because this year we have not changed anything in our question paper. It will be exactly like the way it was in the previous years. We have not experimented anything, right? We are not bringing any surprises. It will be on the same lines. Okay.
So that is, I think, something which would have relieved a lot of students, because after the recent CAT which happened, and there was a huge, students were disappointed that the pattern was changed, the questions, the weightage was changed. But since you're told that that will be like it happened in the past, students must be very happy with that. Answer one question is, what goes through while designing the math section of the paper? How do we focus on the topics like this year in CAT there were a lot of algebra questions. So students were saying that it was very engineer centric. So someone who is an engineer will have an upper hand. How does that approach the math section?
So to actually clear those doubts, what we did was we came out with our XAT overview 2024. It was an official overview from our office. It is already available. You go and check. And let me be very clear that when we create a question paper, I don't know about CAT, because again I'm reiterating that I'm not a part of that particular committee or that particular team. We try to strike a balance, right? It's not that we will make this time algebra heavy, next time we will make arithmetic heavy, or we'll make geometry heavy. We try to strike a balance. Again, I repeat, you go to our old question papers, solve them, you will actually get to know the pattern of this year as well.
Right.
Okay.
That's what kind of academics does XLRI prefer? This is a question from Anjani. So someone who has a weak academic background, let's say 777. So how much a chance does he or she have to come to Excel?
See, I would say that this is also again a tricky question, right? Uh, See, as a different B school, right, we always want students who are going to contribute really well in our classes and would actually bring a change in the industry, right? We definitely want good students, right? If your academics is good, it is an indicator that you are serious, right? But we also know that sometimes some people don't have the kind of skills you require to do well in exams, because there's a particular way of taking exams, right? Like you have to write, you have to explain. Sometimes some people are not good at writing. We understand that bit as well. So we know that sometimes students who are not that great at academics, but they actually show very good sign during interviews or in the group discussions, or if their XAT score is also in actually exhibiting what they are showing in their personal interviews or group discussions, obviously there is chance for such students as well.
Right.
But if somebody is, for instance, 999 and he or she has done really well in XAT, at the same time he or she is performing really well in personal interviews and group discussions, then she has a chance over the one who has 777, right?
Right. So one question is, just give me a second. So in an essay, how does XLRI evaluate an essay? Does XLRI focus on the vocabulary or the content, the creative thinking?
So this is a very important question, and again I would request you all who are watching us to please go to our overview. In our overview, I have very clearly stated what we are going to evaluate in our essay writing section. We don't want something very flowery. We don't want something very metaphorical. We want simple, plain English which is coherent, cohesive, and tries to convey an idea through a logical argumentation. That is what we look forward to. If you are making a claim and you are substantiating your claims with reasons and evidence, and then connecting your first claim with second claim with third claim, and then arriving at a comprehensive conclusion, you are actually a perfect person. You don't have to flaunt your vocabulary, or you don't have to show that you can bring in similes, metaphors, or other parts of speeches or figures of speeches, right? Figures of speech, or some different kind of language you try to bring in so that you can make an impression. That is not going to help. Again, I repeat, these flowery words or phrases can create some impression, but again I would request, try to keep it simple, stay logical. What you say, what you claim, substantiate it with proper reasons, evidence, and your underlying thought is clear, you are good. At the same time, I will again add one more perspective to this. Sometimes you are not clear on the topic, right? Topic is complicated, though we will try to keep topics very simple. Last year also we tried to do that. We will Keep the topics really simple so that everybody can handle any topic. You have to remember one small little thing, that we are not testing your knowledge, right? Like if I am an engineer and I come across something which is about engineering, I will write lots of things about that, right? We are not testing your knowledge. We test your writing skills, your logical rigor in what you write, the kind of arguments you give. When you make claims, are you substantiating your claims with reasons or evidence or not? Are you clear on where you are sharing your opinions, or you are actually putting something as an argument? If you are good at it, you are a perfect candidate. That's it.
So lastly, I personally stuck to a more simplistic way of writing an essay. I use personal examples, and that was, I believe, a major talking point in my interview. So essay is a crucial point. Just write it properly. And one more thing I would like the students to know is you have to write the essay using the keyboard. So those who don't have much practice on typing on a keyboard, you can use this time to develop a practice of typing on a keyboard.
That's correct. So we are actually having three parts in our question paper: part one, part two, part three.
Yeah.
We are keeping part two to quickly check your keyboard as well. Huh? For instance, if any key is not functional, you report it to the person who would be taking care of your computers. Get your keyboard changed. Okay.
Right. And sir, how much does gap years matter in XLRI? For example, someone who has prepared for UPSC, he or she has 3 to 4 years of work gap. So how does XLRI?
So technically, any work experience, or any gap between 1 to 2 years is okay, right? Beyond 2 years, you will have to face problems, right? You can come to a place like XLRI. There are students who have come,
Yes.
right? But companies discriminate. They are very clear on this, that they want people who don't have gaps in their education, right? They should work somewhere. So I would say that if there is a large gap, right, like for instance 7 to 8 years of gap, then it may become difficult for students to get placed, right? But if a gap is between 2 and 3 years, that's not much of a problem.
Right. So, sir, I think this is it. We have had a very fruitful session, and I hope the students got a lot of learnings from this, and they are motivated more than ever to prepare for that. So, thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure.
All the
talking
best
you.
to all the students.
Thank you. All the best.